So Jennifer Titterington from Nottingham Rowing Club on the left of our picture, and Annabelle Stevens from Oxford Brookes on the right.
Go! Well, a really smooth start from Annabelle Stevens there. You just saw the stern of her boat just disappear from the stake boat person's hands there, and it was just so smooth. There's no kickback. It just went straight in the right direction. She's made a brilliant start here on the buck station. Yeah, sculling really well.
Totally agree. I think that we could just hear in that moment of silence the sound like a train accelerating, and that's kind of what you want. You're trying to get the boat from 0 to maximum pace, but there's no point in putting too much energy in, so you're just ripping the oars through the water. You lock the oars and lever the boat past, and you can see that now as you look at the back of Annabelle Stevens, already taken maybe a length or so over Jennifer Titterington.
Yeah, she's taken more than a length now coming out of the top of the island. It's clear water, and a good bit of clear water that she'll be really pleased with. You just see how well she's really getting connected and not rushing that stroke. The blades are dropping in. It's actually taking a reasonable amount of time for her to execute that leg drive and that really nice strong back movement, and then finishing it off with her arms. And yeah, just moving every stroke still now.
Yeah, I mean, that's an incredibly strong start. You can see the pace, you can see the focus on Annabelle Stevens, 23 years old, from Oxford Brookes University, staring right straight down the course behind, trying to keep movement as simple as possible. One of the key things in this sport, you've got all the wind, the stream, the nerves, the pressure, and you just need to move as simply as you possibly can. I often think it's the people who make it complicated, because the rowing itself is really simple and we're just fools trying to master it.
Well, like you say, really nice execution from Annabelle Stevens. It does look simple, doesn't it? It's just let the boat slide underneath her, lock the blades in, and then use her strength and power to move the boat past. And it's just really smooth what she's doing there.
Yeah, and you can see, I mean, Jennifer Titterington from Nottingham Rowing Club is now got to kind of row without any sight of her opposition, but she's also trying to do that in a really nice controlled way, moving nicely up and down the boat. Qualified for the Stoner, the women's doubles here in 2019, and a finalist at Henley Women's Regatta a couple of years back from that, so no slouch herself. Also an open water swimming champion, something that's become fashionable in the last year particularly. So she's comfortable on the water, and you can see that in her boat actually. Jennifer moving quite smoothly, the boat quite stable backwards and forwards. See a little bit of popple on the water, wash from her launch passing and so on, which gives you a little bit of discomfort. In the single, of course, you're the only person there, so you've got to make the stabilising motions yourself. In a quad or a double, you've got others to help you share the load on that front.
And in a single like this on the Henley course, you'll feel every move in the water. And I guess for these two, it's probably good that they're racing now at about 6:30 local time, because the racetrack is a little bit quieter. There's not so many washes about. You can see it now looking at the course. Their water's very consistent. There's not the launch washes coming onto the course, or the little waves, the little breeze that we were getting in the middle of the day. So now it's a pretty good time to race. You can see it again now as we see, just really nice and smooth.
So that's one story. I think the other story is that late in the day racing means you've got the whole day to contemplate what's ahead of you. So I always used to find that quite difficult, you know, actually spending the whole day, maybe watching some of this coverage, seeing other crews racing, and you kind of always want to be doing it, and you always want to get it out of the way and done. But right now, it's fantastic to see Annabelle Stevens' really strong display of sculling, leading herself, leading her way down the track. She's gone past the barrier, so she's probably about 800 metres into the race, a third of the way down the track now, looking really strong.
And we felt those nerves just sitting on the start when we looked at the two scullers attached to the stake boats. Of course, the difference now as well is that the athletes aren't in the usual boat tent enclosures behind the finish line. They're waiting at Fawley Meadow on the opposite bank, on the Buckinghamshire bank. So they'll be seeing the races coming past, which is creating a slightly different atmosphere for the rowers as they wait for their competitions to happen. They can see it going on in the course right in front of them.
Yeah, and that's one of the great things though as a rower coming here, particularly for some of the newer competitors, the younger competitors, seeing some of the best people in the world competing on this track. And of course many have gone on from their first Henley to become internationals and to race for their countries, and one of the reasons that people do that is being inspired by the feats they see in front of them on this track. A few ducks making their home on the booms, nestling for the evening, but there's still 10 or 15 races to go in the second day of Henley Regatta today. We're watching a heat of the Princess Royal Challenge Cup. These two women are followed down the track by the umpire's launch named Boadicea, and Boadicea new this year to the regatta, named after a fantastic female warrior. Watching these two fantastic female warriors battling it out, This in the year as well, Greg, when we've seen the launch of 3 new women's 8s events here at the Regatta. I think it's the year of the women, and it's great to see women displaying such athleticism and skill on the waters of the Regatta.
Yeah, well, great to see women's rowing and women's sculling in such growth, and hopefully these events being at Henley Royal Regatta will encourage young girls and women to just get everything they can out of the sport and enjoy the sport to its absolute maximum.
Yeah, and this is a great event, as I mentioned. The title holder in the Princess Royal, Emma Twigg from New Zealand, is the new Olympic champion. These 2 scullers both had to go through qualifiers at Eton Dorney. For the first time we held the qualifiers for Henley at Eton Dorney this year. Scene of the 2012 Olympic regatta. Greg, you competed there, so it's a fantastic Olympic venue. But never let us forget the connection to Henley. The first British rowing Olympics event was held in 1908 on this track, and that's what led to the 2,000 metres standard course which you raced at Eton Dorney and which was raced by Emma Twigg in Tokyo just a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, because it's an incredible quirk of geography, really, that on this stretch of water you can get 2,112 metres in a straight line. So as you say, the London Olympics were raced on that, and then from then on 2,000 metres became the standard rowing distance.
Exactly, as we look down and passing Remenham Club, Annabelle Stevens stretches out her lead. She's just looking to be calm and collected. And let's tell you a bit about Annabelle, because she's quite an athlete. She started age 9 using an ergo, the rowing machine, which obviously gave her a taste for the sport. And she is now quite a sculler. She in the junior women's quads for Reading Rowing Club in 2013. She's been third. It's our 3rd Henley Regatta, and she's got a Junior World's silver medal in the women's quad from 2016 and a gold in the Bucks Regatta in 2021. So she's a real seasoned, experienced sculler and athlete since her childhood, really. And she says it's her last year of racing before she goes off to coach at Shrewsbury School. Well, let's see how she goes. Sometimes we say we're going to retire and then we get tempted to keep going, as the chairman of the regatta, Steve Redgrave, will tell you. Well,
she could still have plenty of years of sculling in front of her, but she wants to make this her sign-off at Henley Royal Regatta before, as you say, moving into that coaching role at Shrewsbury School. And you can see from her quality technique, she knows how to do it. It'll be whether how well she's able to impart that to others and help them to scull, as well as we can see here, just moving really nicely. You see, again, just that station, or that very, very still kind of body movement, really doing nothing to disturb the boat, as you said earlier, Matt, just making it look very simple.
Yeah, I think also in the single scull she's got this bow-winged rigger, which means the kind of metal struts that hold the oarlocks either side of her are supported from behind her. And I think, you know, as somebody who's not a great sculler myself, a feeling like there's nothing either side of me in front of me would make me feel even less stable. But it's increasingly a rigging situation that's favoured by boat manufacturers and top-class rowers.
Yeah, well, it cuts down on the wind resistance to just have that single bow rigger. But like you say, it certainly feels a bit unnerving when there's nothing in front of you, and you don't know, your blades are just attached to the gates somewhere in the ether beside you. But it does make it easier to get in and out of the boat.
Well, and as we get older, those of us who like to keep rowing, those are the considerations for us all to have. So we're just coming into the closing stages now down the enclosures as we look at Jennifer Titterington, the 27-year-old from Nottingham Rowing Club, in their light blue, dark blue and gold colour scheme. Really strong, solid row down the course. Quite hard for her because she really hasn't had a chance to even see much of her competitor as she goes around the course. And you can see that she's really put a lot of effort through the race, still sculling in a really technically strong way and driving those legs down, trying to get through the final 400 metres, 300 metres now as we pass through the enclosure. And Annabelle Stevens, we're looking at her back in the front of the picture here from Oxford Brookes University, the 23-year-old in her 3rd Henley Royal Regatta, receives applause and cheers from the crowd. Many people still here on the banks enjoying this high-class racing, and she enters the last few strokes of this Princess Royal Open Women's Singles competition.
Yeah, Jennifer Titterington on the far side. She sculled really well. She stayed in it as best she possibly can. But yeah, just a great scull from Annabelle Stevens coming down towards the line now.
So, Princess Royal, the first round of the Princess Royal Women's Singles is a win for Annabelle Stevens of Oxford Brookes University. Really strong position. She led from the start. and she had a commanding position all the way through the race. Credit to Jennifer Titterington, 27 years of age, from Nottingham Rowing Club. Great row from both.